Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tie Your Shoes Reviews. This time, we'll be taking a peek at one of the cornerstones of my childhood, Digimon, Digital Monsters. When I was a kid in the late 90s and early 2000s, the anime series was one I watched as religiously as Power Rangers or even the likes of Pokemon, which was also exploding in popularity at the time. I got up every morning to watch every new episode on Fox Kids before the dark times, collected a bunch of action figures, which I regret not saving since my youth because holy cow these prices, dabbled a bit in the short-lived trading card game, and gave a few video games a shot. The first one I remember was Digimon World, a strange RPG where you raise a Digimon partner much like the Tamagotchi spin-off it was based on. I might revisit this game one day to see if it's still worth playing, but today we're going to be focusing on the other Digimon game I played on the PlayStation back when people gave a shit about this series. The fighting game known as Digimon Rumble Arena. I remember this game making the rounds shortly after Super Smash Bros. Melee hit the scene, and you can draw similarities between the two. But for my money, Rumble Arena is a bit more in the cheap Smash clone. I'm getting ahead of myself of course, so without further ado, let's see what we got here. For the uninitiated who don't know what Digimon is all about, here's a quick rundown. A bunch of kids are transported to the digital world where they team up with their own Digimon partners. They make them Digivolve, or Evolve, or Shinka, whichever you prefer, to defeat bigger and badder monsters in a bid to save both the real world and digital world, as well as learn about themselves and the people around them. I mention this here because Rumble Arena has no overarching story to speak of. All you get is that 9 of the main Digimon from the first 3 seasons as well as their human tamers are here and are arbitrarily fighting each other. There isn't even any backstory for Reapermon, the final boss that was specifically made for this game until the 2020 reboot of Digimon Adventure. But story or lack thereof is small potatoes in a fighting game, so let's talk about the gameplay. The rules are simple. You pick a Digimon character and fight via 1v1 battles until you or your opponent's health is drained, or time runs out and the winner is declared via judgment. The controls are pretty straightforward. Square is your basic attack, while triangle and circle are your special moves. Every Digimon has access to 2 unique attacks that range from physical moves or indirect projectiles. You may also notice a blue bar that fills when you deal or take damage. That's the Digimeter, and when it's full, you can press R1 to make your character Digivolve into their Mega form, except Wormmon, he's stuck with his champion form here. As you can imagine, Digivolve monsters are way stronger and faster in their base forms, and have access to their own special moves. But just like in the show, they can't hold these forms for very long, as the Digimeter drains after transforming, and running out reverts you back to your previous form. Megamons also have access to incredibly powerful super moves that sacrifices whatever meter you have for an all-or-nothing final strike. And it's pretty sick when these connect. You would think the way to win is to Digivolve and flex on the opposition, and you can totally do that, but Digimon in their basic forms can hold their own as well. This game is surprisingly balanced despite it being based on a show where power gaps between evolutions are ginormous. Okay, so it's not completely balanced since Renemon's Diamond Storm rips the game in half, but I digress. Similarly to Smash, each stage has their own gimmick and hazards to dance around while also peppering damage on the opponent. The most common hazard is falling off the stage, which penalizes you by taking off a bit of health and warping you to the center of the arena. Some gimmicks aren't too bad, like the giant boulders or how this stage rotates periodically, but the janky ice physics in the Arctic stage are pretty obnoxious. Do not use specials that propel you forward in this level. There are also cards scattered around each stage you can collect to give you a minor benefit or detriment depending on what card it is. It's like the Digimodifiers and Digimon Tamers, though they aren't as helpful in this case. There are some cards that shoot projectiles, recover health, or increase your Digimeter, and there are some that can really screw you over, like the one that scrambles your controls or whatever the hell this one does. Most of the time I ignore these because going for cards that only help a little isn't really worth it when I can just do fine with the basic skill set. It's just whatever for me is all. The graphics are pretty good for late PS1 standards. The frame rate can be a little chuggy at points, but the animations are on point with how the characters look in the show. Most of the cast from the English dub reprise their roles here, but for some reason sound incredibly muffled, aside from the wind quotes which sound perfectly fine. I never understood why that is, so I'll leave that up to you. Speaking of sounds, I love the soundtrack in this game. There are some rockin' gems that add to the energy of battles. Apparently there are instrumental versions of the Japanese opening and insert songs in the original release in Japan, and it's a shame we never got them because they're all way better than the English Digimon theme song. I hate that shit now. I mentioned before how there's no plot in this game, but there is an arcade ladder where you can play through and unlock all the Digivolve characters for Versus Mode, as well as secret characters like Black War Greymon or Omnimon, who looks weird without his cape. About 3 battles into the arcade run, it forces you to play one of 3 minigames where you awkwardly shoot a ball at gems or basketball hoops, or mashing this button over and over. It really sucks. Enough said. At the end of the run, you face off against Reapermon and his trippy Windows loading background. Imagine playing against your younger sibling that spams the same move over and over, except here it actually works. That's what this final boss fight is like, and it can be very frustrating. Still, if you persevere and exploit his predictable attack strategy, you'll beat him with little issue. I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to games inspired by Smash Bros., Rumble Arena is probably one of the better ones, at least for a licensed PS1 fighting game with a smaller budget. The battle system is incredibly simple to pick up and play, no doubt keeping the younger demographic in mind. And it's really fun once you really get into it. If you're a fan of Digimon, you'll enjoy this game no problem. For the more casual audience or fighting game enthusiasts, it's kind of a harder sell. I still had a blast replaying this game after 19 years and reminiscing about my time with the show as a kid. Though I'm not as involved with it as I once was, I still absorb some of its material ever so often. I watched through 7 of the recent movies, played through the fantastic Cyber Sleuth games, and I'm currently enjoying the run of the 2020 reboot as well. Digimon is still an important part of my life, and I'm glad I got to experience all of that. So here's hoping that Digimon Survive will be amazing, or that the reboot won't end in a lame way. I really hope that last sentence doesn't get dated. Anyway, that's gonna be it for Digimon Rumble Arena. Be sure to leave a comment below to recommend any games you'd like to see me review in the future. I'm open for anything. As always, thank you all for watching, and have an awesome day.
I won, Ty!
You win.